So what Nick's done a really good job of is he's able to move and be a kind of a move tight end. It's a strength of his to be able to do that stuff and kind of play that hybrid tight end / fullback role and do those things. And the challenge is always, with the Coach Case has is really the actives, the inactives, and managing that roster. And the good thing for Coach Day and myself are we get to coach the guys he tells us to coach, and he'll make those decisions. And we do have a room that of 4 or 5 guys that are they can play and help us. And so whatever Coach tells us on that, we'll play those guys.
What is the legend of Nick O'Leary? Why is he the guy that was a cast-off, sitting around waiting for a call, and now he comes here and it looks like he might be the best tight end?
Yeah, I can't speak for that, and those are your words, not mine. I think what Nick does a really good job of is he's a scrappy player. He's competitive, and I think the guys see how hard he plays, and he's always mixing up in the pile. He plays with edge, and he's made some plays for us. So, and guys are naturally drawn to that kind of competitive spirit. So, I can't speak on why it didn't work out in the past to other teams, but I think the coaching staff here has done a good job using his skill set to and put him in a position to be successful.
Sometimes you see things in a guy though where you obviously looked at film on him before you brought him in, and you see, this is something that's underutilized, or this is something you can do something with. What did you see in him?
It goes back to Florida State. He was a productive guy, and in doing those things, he could move, and was smart. You could tell he was smart. You could tell he was competitive and scrappy, and just really sometimes this league is about finding an opportunity, and when you do get that opportunity, making the most of it. And it comes in a lot of different ways, and he's done that to this point, made the most of his opportunity here.
What was the difference that we saw from this offensive line? Not the Cincinnati game. Let's not compare those two. Yeah. But from what you saw against the Bears compared to what you saw beginning earlier this season?
The biggest thing I think was the execution. I mean, it really was. It was, having Laremy Tunsil out there is a big deal because he's a really good football player. And when you have a guy that you can say, hey, we trust this guy one-on-one to block anybody in the NFL, and we can slide protections and chip the other way, it makes a big difference. And so you get help in other places, and make sure your strengths are your strengths and play to your strengths and protect your weaknesses, or what could be a matchup issue that way. Or maybe a team has like the Bears had a good, their right side of the rush pattern is really good for those guys. And so we're able to do some different stuff schematically, and having Laremy makes it able to where you can do that stuff because you have such trust in him to be able to handle whoever lines up in front of him to block him one-on-one.
So there's nobody in the league you can think of that you say, we might need to give Laremy a little help.
I think at every point, like their breather plays for, whether it be Laremy or Jawan or whoever it is, like you don't want to put someone on the island and say, hey, 40 plays in a row, we want you to block this guy, and we don't believe in that here anyway. We want to give him different looks and do those things. But when it's crunch time and it matters, we trust Laremy to do his job and block anyone one-on-one.
With Brock, how much did you know about him before you took the job, and what have you learned about him since?
Well, I've been on the other side of losing to him twice. When I was in 2015 in Chicago, he was in Denver. In 2016, the opener, I was in Chicago, and he was in Houston at the time. So just being across from him, watching him, and then it's been a fun and a privilege to coach him because he learned from one of the best of all time in 18, and that part of the knowledge of the offense after getting to watch 18 do it for 4 years in Denver and come in and execute the system at a high level, and just the confidence he has in the system and feels like it fits his skill set. And so from a distance, I got to watch him and learn him and figure out what he's good at once he got here. So it's been fun.
What's more impressive, I guess, his confidence, as you mentioned, or his optimism, because he seems to have both.
Yeah, he is. Like I think he's in a really good place mentally. I think he really enjoys football. I think he really enjoys his teammates, and I think that's important. Trust the system a lot because it's something he's familiar with, and he got to see it operate at a very high level by one of the greatest players of all time. So when you get to sit back and watch that, it just gives you confidence and belief when a call comes in that you've seen it executed at a top level, and you know what the system is capable of when executed the right way, and just the belief that he has in his teammates. The one thing that Brock, I think, does a really good job of is he plays with a point guard mentality. He's getting the ball out quick. He knows where the hots are. He knows where his outs are on the majority of the plays. So I think he does a good job of executing that stuff.
How would you describe the approach you would like Brock to take relative to aggressiveness versus caretaking, that sort of mindset?
Yeah, it's really the line we use a lot with the quarterbacks is aggressive as can be in the timing of the play. So if we have a shot play called up, then we want to throw the ball and push the ball down the field as long as you're listening to your feet. And sometimes it doesn't develop the right way and you have to take an extra hitch. Then we're telling them, hey, bring your eyes down and find the check down. I thought the one thing that Brock did that probably doesn't get talked about enough is he was really smart with throwaways. We had a thing, I think, was going this way in the second quarter, third quarter, and the second 10, and he throws the ball away because we busted protection. And the next third down is, instead of being in 3rd and 15, taking a sack, we throw the ball away, and next play we hit Amendola for a first down that ends up leading to points. And it's just being smart with the football and being aggressive. We wanted to be aggressive in the timing of the play, though.
When you all got Albert Wilson, you obviously knew he was a highly skilled guy, elusive, yards after catch were good. But have you guys just sitting around as coaches even been a tiny bit amazed and talking among yourselves just to see what we've seen over the first 6 weeks?
Well, it's a good question because we knew he was talented. We knew we thought we assumed that he could do certain things with the ball that make him unique. And the one thing that really jumps out to you that is how strong he is in the lower body, how thick he is. He's built like a running back in the lower body, and his ability to his contact balance. When he gets hit, a lot of people stumble and fall. Albert does a tremendous job of keeping that contact balance and running after the catch. And, he's done a really good job taking on a heavy burden because he moves around a lot of things. And some of the things that don't get called where he's played, he's played slot, he's played outside, he's played running back, he's played quarterback, and just really challenged himself to learn all that stuff. And we're going to continue to stretch him that way and see how far we can take him.
Okay, explain something to me. Catch and slash.
Yes.
What does it mean?
So slash is a term that we really started talking about this year. And what slash is when you catch a ball, and you'll see a lot of guys they'll start bouncing it, and what we say is slash, which basically means stick your foot in the ground and go vertical. Amendola does a really good job of it, and it's the sometimes you get as a ball carrier you get in trouble of trying to do too much with it. And we keep talking about going north and slash, go vertical. And then once you go vertical, now you can get your shoulder square. And now you can go make moves in the open field like Howard did on 39 for the Bears when it's basically, fast break in basketball. He went vertical and slash, went vertical, and they had two-way go on him. So it's really trying to eliminate angles for the defense because they're trying to overpopulate, and that's how you stop missed tackles, overpopulate the ball. Well, the way you stop that as an offense is going vertical and slashing, going north.
One of the things Brock mentioned is that you guys talk about standards over feelings, which I thought was kind of interesting. How do you work through that? The idea that guys have different personalities and they respond to coaching in different ways.
We think the only way that you can raise the standards is to continue to communicate the vision of what we want and what we expect. And the only way you do it is be able to tell people the truth, and that's not good enough. It's yes or no. It's evaluation friendly. You either did your job or you didn't. And part of that is the coaching staff doing a really good job of explaining their expectations and the intent for plays. So when we call a shot play, we expect, hey, this is in the shotgun 3-1 hitch throw, and we're putting it up. Or, hey, you know what? We didn't get the coverage we want, so then now the intent wasn't there to check the ball down. But just so our expectations are clear, and it's part of the process. We're not where we need to be, but we're getting closer, and it's just having very direct dialogue and cutting through all the stuff or, hey, that was a pretty good read, but we'd really like to get to number 3 where it's more direct, and it's no, it's not good enough. That it's 1, 2, 3 in the timing of the play, and check the ball down and don't take sacks, and just being very direct with each other. And I think it helps you establish standards, and it helps the whole team, the whole offensive group understand the expectations.
You game plan differently at home in the heat, as far as your running game and how you run Frank and Kenyon?
No, sir. That's actually a really interesting question. We don't. But what does happen is you go with a plan, and then you react off what's going on in the game, make adjustments, and maybe some teams you start to feel them wearing down, or however it's going, the run game gets going, and you start popping off. The one thing we did against Chicago, we were really efficient. we're efficient. When I say that is like we're gaining 4 yards on first down, and on second 1 to 6, like we're cutting it in half and making it 3rd and short and doing those things. And so it's really the feel of the game, not really necessarily going in. Like we obviously see this playing at home is a huge advantage for us that we need to continue to make a priority is winning at home. But it's really just the in-game adjustments and seeing how the game's going.
Can you put your finger on, I guess, what changed for you guys? There was a couple of weeks where struggling to get going, and then all of a sudden, like you said, the efficiency popped up.
I do think that matchup things have changed a little bit. I think that some of the teams we played lately, we've been running more inside stuff than outside stuff. And Frank's had some more carries that way and playing to his strength, and it's really what the defensive scheme gave us, and how we chose to attack that scheme. So I think our guys are starting to understand what we want more, and they're starting to execute the blocks better. And once we lost Sitton, there was a little bit of transition there that we had to, and once we lost Kilgore, there's a little bit of transition there. And I think these guys are starting to play together a little bit more and starting to gel a little bit in the run game that way.
What did you like specifically about Juwan, what he did last week?
I thought he did a really good job. I think there was 15 or 16 times he was on his own blocking one-on-one, and he did it and played really the one thing, he brought great energy. And Juwan's an energy giver and plays hard and aggressive. And that's what the whole thing is especially at home, and like you feel that heat is, you want to be able to impose your will and play on your terms in the run game and pass game. Like when we talk about the run game, like you have to be able to run the ball when you want to. And I thought that's what our group did, and I think Juwan was a big part of that, just playing aggressive and trusting his technique. And understand he did a really good job of. I said, there was a lot of times we were sending 2 or 3 guys and we were chipping and doing those things, but he did a really good job understanding where his help was in each play. We might be sliding to him, so he might know, hey, they're sliding to me, so I have inside help if I don't need it, but I know that I can set a certain way to be aggressive.
Appreciate it, Dowell.
Thanks, guys.
You guys have a good one.
Hey, let me